The moment you tell her your problems is the moment she starts falling out of love. Not because she's heartless, not because she's evil, but because she's wired differently. They tell you, open up, be vulnerable, let it out. But when you do, something shifts. The respect fades, the attraction cools, the connection breaks, and deep down, you've felt it. You've seen it, and no one warned you until now. Comment below the truth, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why. You were told to share, to speak your truth, to open your heart. That vulnerability is strength, but they forgot to tell you the whole story. The truth? Most people, especially women, are not built to hold your emotional weight. They're not wired to carry your burdens. And when you force that responsibility onto them, they retreat, emotionally, psychologically, intimately. This is not hate, this is nature, this is not bitterness, this is biology. And this message could save your relationships, or save you from repeating the same brutal mistakes. If you're tired of being blindsided, if you're ready to understand the world as it is, not as you wish it were, stay here. Support this channel by subscribing and sharing, because we don't do fluff here, we deliver raw, life-changing truth. And by supporting this message, you help every man who's been misled finally get clarity. Number 1, she can't handle them. While you think telling her everything will bring you closer, she's silently pulling away. You believe you're building intimacy, trust, connection, but she's calculating emotionally, watching every word you say, measuring every weakness you expose. You speak to be understood, but all she hears is fragility. That one moment when you finally crack open your chest, hoping she'll help you breathe, is the same moment her view of you shifts forever. It doesn't matter if she said, "You can tell me anything." She didn't mean your deepest insecurities. She didn't mean the demons you fight at 2 a.m. She didn't mean the fears that wake you up in cold sweat. She meant small complaints, temporary issues, things that don't threaten her illusion of your strength. Because once you pierce that illusion, you don't become more loved. You become more tolerated. Her biology doesn't reward vulnerability in men. It scans it as instability, unpredictability, threat. She was wired to seek strength, security, certainty. When you tell her about your suffering, your doubts, your helplessness, you take away the very thing she was clinging to, and now she's emotionally alone, even when you're still there. She may not run immediately, but mentally she checks out. You'll feel it in the way her tone shifts, in how she looks at you, in how her body starts pulling back. She may still care, but the desire, the admiration, the trust in your leadership, it starts dying quietly. She becomes colder, less affectionate, less invested, and you don't know why. You think, I was honest, I was real. But honesty isn't intimacy when it threatens her sense of safety. You gave her the raw data of your chaos. She couldn't handle it, not because she's weak, but because you forgot what you're supposed to be. Her rock, her stability, not her son, not her therapist. She doesn't want to manage your emotions. She wants to rest in your strength. When you hand her your pain, she may hold it briefly, but the more you lean, the more she bends, until something inside her breaks, and once it's broken, the damage is hard to undo, and you can't blame her. It's not a flaw, it's nature. You feel hurt, betrayed, but what you call betrayal is biology playing its role. And if you're honest, you'd admit it too. If a woman constantly complained to you, cried on your shoulder every week, emotionally depended on you for stability, you'd lose attraction too. Respect turns into pity. Pity never turns into passion. So stop expecting her to carry what only you were built to carry. You want to heal. Do it in silence. Train. Building right. Lift. Fight your way out. Use the gym as your temple. Turn your journal into a war plan. Go out and create. Build something. Win something. Win yourself back. That's when you become attractive, not when you unload. You were never meant to be emotionally naked to the world. You were meant to armor up, not to numb yourself, but to contain your fire. Controlled fire cooks. Uncontrolled fire burns the whole house down, including your relationship. Stop over-talking your pain. Start transforming it. Every time you feel the urge to overshare with her, pause. Go for a run. Hit the weights. Read a page of wisdom. Keep that journal with you and dump your pain there, not on her, because your journal won't judge you. She might not mean to, but she will. Not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually. And when that shift happens, you'll feel it in your soul. You'll realize she's not leaning on you anymore because you're leaning on her. Masculinity isn't about being emotionless. It's about being emotionally effective. That means learning what to express, when, and to who. Most men need brotherhood, not sympathy. You need men in your life who can understand your pain without weaponizing it, who will hear you, challenge you, hold you accountable. But your woman, she wants to lean, not carry. The more you make her carry, the more you become a weight she didn't ask for. And no matter how kind she is, how loving she is, every woman eventually drops what she didn't choose to hold. So, if you want to keep her trust, protect her from your worst storms, not by hiding, but by healing first. When she sees that you carry your wounds with discipline, with grace, with silence, that's when she feels proud to stand beside you. Not because you fake strength, but because you built it, and she can feel the difference. Every man knows this truth in his bones. You just forgot. Or society made you feel guilty for remembering it, but your soul knows. It's time to listen to that voice again, the one that says, stand up. Fix your crown, say nothing, let your actions roar. Stop looking for comfort, build capacity, stop begging for understanding, master your storms. And when she sees the strength you walk with, the kind you never had to explain, she'll follow. Not because you made her, but because your presence commands it. And if she doesn't, then she wasn't the one meant to witness your rise. Because kings don't explain, they execute. You are the rock. So be it. Number 2, her respect dies when you cry. She won't say it out loud, but the second your tears fall, something inside her dries up. You think your honesty is going to make her love you more. You think crying in front of her shows trust, shows how safe she makes you feel, shows how deep the bond really is. But inside, her instincts are fighting against everything you thought would bring you closer. Because you just broke the image. You shattered the illusion of the man who could protect, lead, endure. You thought she wanted your emotions, but she wanted your stability. You thought she'd see your heart, but she saw your cracks. And when a man cracks, a woman's biology sees danger. Her primal brain doesn't care about modern softness, about therapy talk, about vulnerability being power. Her instincts want to know one thing. Can this man protect me, or do I have to protect him? Because the moment she feels she has to protect you emotionally, the polarity flips. You're no longer the force. You become the follower. You're not the oak tree, you're the leaf. And that kills the desire. Not because she's evil, but because her wiring doesn't reward emotional collapse in men. She doesn't want to carry you. She wants to rest in your frame. You were supposed to be her calm in chaos, not another source of it. And the irony? She may ask you to open up. She may even beg you to talk. But that's the trap. It's not because she wants to fix you. It's because she wants to test you. She wants to know if you're actually as solid as you look. So you open up, thinking it's safe. You tell her you feel lost, that you're afraid, that you don't know what to do with your life. that sometimes you want to give up. And just like that, the weight shifts. She was leaning on you. Now she sees that you're leaning on her, and she can't breathe. She smiles. She says it's okay, but you'll feel the difference in her kiss, in her gaze, in how she doesn't quite look at you the same. Something was erased, and something you needed was never coming back. Now you become the man she tolerates, not the man she desires. You become the man she respects in words, not in feeling. Because respect in women isn't about what they say, it's about what they feel when you walk into a room. And once you lose that feeling, you've lost the game. So stop thinking emotional dumping is strength. Strength is composure. Strength is clarity. Strength is knowing where to place your pain and who's worthy to witness it. You don't put your emotions in her hands. You put them in your discipline. You transmute that chaos into structure, into power, into progress. That's what she falls for, the man who carries weight without making everyone else feel it. You want to be admired? Handle your pain in silence. Fix your chaos before it spills. And when you do speak, speak from the scar, not the wound. Because when you bleed in front of her, she might not wipe it away. She might step away. And can you blame her? In a world full of men who fold, she's looking for one who doesn't. In a society softening every edge, she craves the one man who refuses to bend. The man who feels deeply but shows strength outwardly, who doesn't need to collapse to feel close, who doesn't weaponize his sadness to get sympathy, who doesn't mistake emotional release for emotional leadership. Be that man. Start today. When the pressure builds, you don't call her crying. You go run until your lungs scream louder than your thoughts. You go lift until your body remembers who the hell you are. You meditate until your spirit stops trembling. You journal until the chaos becomes a blueprint. You build your foundation with steel, not stories. And when she sees you again, she sees a man who faced demons and didn't flinch. That's when her desire returns. That's when she follows without asking. That's when you don't need to ask for respect, because it's already there. It's in her tone, her posture, her energy. You became the anchor, and anchors don't cry in the storm, they hold. You are not weak for feeling, but you are weak if your feelings lead you. She doesn't want a man who crumbles in crisis. She wants the man who holds it all together, even when it hurts. And that man lives in you. So protect him, build him, respect him, because when you do, so will she. And if she doesn't, it won't matter, because the kind of man you've become doesn't need her respect to feel like a man. He already earned his own. So cry if you must, but cry alone. Then rise, adjust your posture, harden your focus, and walk back into the world as the man who keeps moving forward, even with scars she'll never see. That's power. That's unbreakable. Number 3, you're supposed to be the rock. Every man at some point feels the weight. Life closes in, pressure mounts, confusion grows, and you want to talk, to let it out. But every man must remember this. You're not supposed to be a river. You are the rock. The one that stands firm when everything else collapses. The one that doesn't break, even when the flood comes. Modern life has tried to convince you otherwise. You've been told to soften, to emote, to bleed emotionally in front of the very people who depend on your strength. But bleeding publicly doesn't make you stronger. It makes you exposed. Every man who broke in front of her thought he'd be held tighter, seen deeper, loved harder. But she doesn't want to see you break. She wants to see how you hold yourself together. When you stop being her anchor, she drifts. You're supposed to be the mountain, not the avalanche. Society lies and says, just open up. And men, desperate to be understood, spill their guts. But there's a cost no one talks about. Because after you fall apart in her presence, after you show her the chaos inside you, she starts to pull back. Her nature calls for safety. And when you become the one who needs saving, Something shifts deep in her subconscious. That's not where desire lives, that's where her survival kicks in. You thought she'd respect your tears, but she respects your discipline. You thought she'd love your openness, but she loves your control. Control over your mind, your energy, your emotions. That's what makes her trust you, and that trust is the foundation of love. She doesn't want to manage your emotional roller coaster. She wants to ride beside a man who doesn't get shaken by every storm. That's why you must be the rock. And it's not just for her, it's for you. Because when you learn to lead your own mind, no woman can ever destabilize you. That's freedom. Emotional mastery isn't bottling things up. It's channeling them like fire into forward motion. When you're angry, go build. When you're sad, go train. When you're lost, go lead someone else. Every action is a path back to power. Every stillness is a moment to reconnect with your strength. Stop speaking your pain to people who can't handle it. Start owning it. Transmute it. Grow from it. The gym should know your rage. Your journal should know your confusion. Your mirror should know your doubts. But the world should only see your clarity, your composure, your direction. That's what makes you unshakable. You're supposed to be the calm in the storm, not another victim of it. And if you don't know where to put your pain, don't give it to her, give it to the brotherhood. Build bonds with men who get it. Men who've walked through hell and came out forged. Men who don't flinch when you say you're hurting, but also don't let you stay in that pit. Men who challenge you, who sharpen you, who hold you accountable to the standard of being a rock, not a sponge. And if you haven't found them yet, become that man first. Because when you become solid, you attract the same. Stop venting in desperation. Start connecting with discipline. You need brotherhood. A tribe of men who don't judge, but also don't tolerate your excuses. You need spaces where pain turns into strategy, where silence is respected, where action is demanded. That's how warriors are made. That's where men heal, not in her lap, but in fire with brothers. Because she can love you deeply, but she will never understand what you carry, not like another man who's carried the same weight. And that's okay. That's how it's supposed to be. She brings softness to your world, but she's not the solution to your suffering. You are. And the more you rely on her for emotional stability, the more you drain the very energy that made her love you. You don't become a better man by opening up emotionally to people who aren't built to hold your burden. You become a better man by sharpening your mind, strengthening your body, clarifying your mission. That's what makes her feel safe. Not your emotional transparency, but your emotional direction. So walk with power. Not because life is easy, but because you chose to be the rock. You chose discipline over disorder. You chose silence over sympathy. You chose progress over pity. And that choice will change your life. She doesn't need you to be perfect, but she needs to feel you're grounded. And you can't fake that. You build it every day in your habits, your focus, your self-respect. And when you become that rock, the right woman will feel it without you saying a word. She'll relax. She'll trust. She'll submit, not because you demanded it, but because your energy made it effortless. You want that? Then start today. Show up with steel in your spine. Speak less. Move with intent. Heal with action. Build with pain. And if no one understands, good. You're walking the path meant for men who carry the weight in silence. And when she sees you, she'll know. That's a man I can trust. That's a man I can follow. That's a man who doesn't fold. That's a rock. Number 4, she will use it against you. Every man thinks his words are safe in her hands until they aren't. You tell her about your father's absence, how it shaped you, how it left you broken in ways no one understands. You open up about the pressure, the weight, the nights where you question everything you are. You speak from the pit of your soul, believing love protects vulnerability. But what you didn't realize is that those very words, the deepest parts of your truth, can become bullets the moment her love turns into resentment. You thought you were safe, but the moment the relationship starts to crack, those confessions you thought would bring you closer become weapons in her emotional arsenal. And she won't need to scream. She won't even need to argue. All she has to do is remind you of your lowest point, with a smile, and it'll crush you. She'll say it lightly, maybe you're just too unstable. She'll drop it during an argument. No wonder you never got promoted. Or she'll whisper it as she walks out the door, I can't carry your baggage forever. And suddenly, you realize she didn't forget, she stored it. The same woman who once held your head on her chest is now weaponizing your fears. This doesn't happen with every woman, but it happens often enough that you must never risk it, because the risk is nuclear. Once trust breaks, there's no rule, no limit, no fairness. Your darkest moments are now her emotional leverage, and while you're still trying to understand what went wrong, she's already reshaping the narrative of who you are, to her friends, her family, to herself, and eventually to the next man she dates. You're not the strong man who tried. You're the weak one who fell apart. You're the guy who couldn't lead, the guy who cried too much, the guy who was emotionally exhausting. And the man hearing that story will never hear your side. He'll only see your shadow through her lens. You gave her the playbook to your psyche, and now she's reading it out loud to anyone who'll listen. This is the cost of exposing your soul to someone who hasn't earned it. You thought loyalty was guaranteed. But loyalty isn't tested when love is strong. It's tested when things fall apart. And if she's the kind to use your pain as ammo when she's angry, then she was never safe to begin with. So stop bleeding in front of every woman who makes you feel temporarily understood. Test her strength before showing her your weakness. Watch how she reacts to your silence, to your intensity, to your ambition, because a woman who is truly safe won't need your brokenness to feel close to you. She'll admire your ability to lead in the face of pain, not cry alongside you. You need to stop assuming love equals safety. In modern relationships, love often turns into competition, comparison, emotional leverage. That's the truth no one tells you. She'll love you until you fall below her expectations. And once you do, she'll remind you of it for the rest of your life. Or worse, she'll use it to justify leaving you. You were emotional, you opened up too much. Now you're not man enough. Now she feels like the man in the relationship. That's when she starts resenting you, not just silently, but openly. You become the guy she mocks in her group chat, the guy she talks down to in public, the guy she tests over and over until you either reclaim your power or collapse under the pressure. But the moment you collapse, it's done. Respect gone, desire evaporated, love poisoned. And even if she stays, it's only a matter of time before she seeks a new frame, a stronger one she can lean on, one who didn't expose his scars too soon. You think I'm harsh? Ask the man who told her everything and then watched her use it against him in court, in custody battles, in smear campaigns. Ask the man who spent 3 years healing from words she threw at him in one single argument, words she pulled from the exact confessions he once whispered with trembling vulnerability. You want to be understood? Find a brotherhood, men who've bled the same way, who can hear your story without flinching, who won't use your weakness to measure their strength. Build a circle of warriors, not emotional handlers. Your woman should be your peace, not your therapist. She's there to admire the man you've built, not to babysit the boy still unsure of who he is. And if you still feel the need to speak, to let it out, grab a notebook. Talk to God, talk to the barbell, talk to the mirror, but never talk to someone who might not survive the weight of your wounds. Because when she breaks under that weight, she won't just collapse, she'll blame you for it. You think she forgot what you told her in year 1 of the relationship? No, She's replayed it in her mind during every moment you disappointed her, every time she felt unattracted, every time she questioned your leadership. Those words you thought were safe have been stitched into her memory, and one day, if the love dies, she'll rip the thread and unravel your soul in one sentence. Don't let her. Don't give her that thread. Keep your pain sacred. Give it only to those who've proven they can hold it with strength and silence. Because once it's out, you can't take it back. And once she sees you break, it's a matter of time before she walks away from the version of you she no longer respects. You think love is enough? It's not. She loves the version of you that stands tall, that speaks with calm, that acts with certainty, not the one who cries in confusion at 1 a.m. She might hug you, but she won't crave you. There's a difference. You want to be craved. Show her resilience, not collapse. Show her leadership, not emotional panic. Show her scars you've healed from, not wounds that still bleed. And if you truly must share, wait. Wait until she's earned it, until she's proven herself in chaos, until you've seen her handle storms without blaming you. Only then does your story become sacred. Until then, protect it. Because if you hand it to the wrong woman, you'll spend years rebuilding what she broke in one sentence. Number 5. Your pain isn't safe with her. You keep thinking she's different. You keep believing this one's safe, that she sees the real you, that she'll never judge what's behind your eyes. But the truth, deep and brutal, is this: your pain isn't safe with her. Not because she's cruel, not because she's fake, but because she wasn't built to carry it. You're handing her something her instincts will never know how to hold. The weight you carry was meant for your shoulders. And when you start off loading it on her, slowly, piece by piece, she might nod and listen. But deep inside, something is shifting. Her perception of you, her attraction to you, her sense of emotional gravity is changing. She starts to feel uneasy, not because you've done anything wrong, but because her feminine energy thrives in the presence of certainty. She's attracted to the man who leads, not the man who unloads. She wants to be seen, not to become your emotional storage unit. And when you hand her your pain, you force her to switch roles, from the lover to the counselor, from the queen to the caretaker. That polarity reversal destroys the very thing that made her heart race when you entered the room. She wanted to feel safe in your strength, not responsible for your healing. You might think you're bonding. You might feel temporarily relieved. But as the days pass, you'll notice her energy retreating. She's less affectionate, less attentive, less engaged. And if you ask why, she'll shrug or say, "I don't know." But deep down, she does know. Her soul felt the moment you handed her your burden. She wanted to be held, not to hold you together. This isn't to say women are heartless. Many care deeply, but caring doesn't mean carrying. And the moment you turn her into your emotional lifeline, she starts calculating her exit, slowly, subconsciously, until one day she leaves and tells you she just needs space, when the truth is you made her feel like the man. You reversed the flow of polarity. And no woman stays feminine when she's forced to play masculine. You want her to stay? Then protect her from your storm. Shield her from the chaos inside you. Process it elsewhere, in silence, in solitude, in discipline. The most powerful men in history didn't cry on their queen's lap. They walked into war with resolve and bled in private. Your healing isn't meant to be shared with her. It's meant to be mastered by you. And if you must speak, if the burden is too heavy to carry alone, then turn to men who've been there, men who understand, men who won't flinch or look at you differently, because a strong man doesn't seek relief, he seeks refinement. You don't go looking for sympathy, you go looking for solutions. That's how your pain becomes fuel, not a leash. That's how you become unbreakable. You build routines, you build systems. You get your body strong so your mind follows. You journal to translate chaos into clarity. You push yourself through discomfort until it becomes home. And when you come back to her, composed, calm, focused, she feels the man again. She doesn't know how you did it. She just knows you're back. That's when she rests. That's when she softens. That's when she desires you again, because you re-established the balance, you reclaimed the frame, and now she can lean on you again without worrying you might fall apart. Don't rob her of that safety. Don't hand her your darkness. She's not your outlet. She's not your coach. She's your reflection, and she'll only reflect what you project. Show her a man who moves through pain with purpose, who leads even when he's tired, who grows even when he's hurting, and she'll never want to leave. But show her a man who needs her to regulate his emotions, and she'll either resent you or replace you. That's the harsh truth. So next time you feel like breaking down, stop, breathe. Ask yourself, who do I need to be right now? And the answer is always the same. You need to be the man, the rock, the center. Because if you aren't, no one else will be. The world doesn't wait for you to feel better, and neither will she. So build yourself into the man who doesn't collapse, who can feel everything, but still lead. And remember, just because you're allowed to cry doesn't mean you should cry in front of everyone. Emotions are meant to be mastered, not broadcast. Power is when you own your pain, but don't hand it out like flyers. You think you're being real, but she thinks you're becoming unstable. And instability is the enemy of attraction. So build your tribe. Find the men who sharpen you, and leave your woman out of the war you were built to win on your own. Number 6. Turn pain into power. Every man will suffer. Every man will break, internally, quietly, painfully. But not every man will rise from it. Because while most look for comfort, few choose transformation. And transformation requires silence, grit, and ruthless accountability. You don't grow stronger by explaining your hurt. You grow by owning it, commanding it, and using it as fuel to move. You don't need her sympathy. You need your own discipline. You don't need her validation. You need your own mission. And the day you stop telling her your problems is the day you start solving them, not out of pride, but out of power. Pain is an invitation. It either invites you to crumble or it invites you to build. And most men crumble because they think someone else will save them. They think if they cry enough, explain enough, beg enough, someone will come fix it. But no one's coming, especially not her. That's your job. You're not a victim. You're a builder. And every emotion you feel is raw material for construction. Use it. Channel your heartbreak into intensity. Channel your confusion into learning. Channel your rejection into discipline. Every time life hits you, you respond with movement. That's what turns a man into steel. Because when she sees that your response to pain isn't breakdown, it's progress, she can't help but respect you. Even if she doesn't say it, even if she doesn't understand it, she feels it, she senses it. And her body, her emotions, her instincts will all respond to it. Not because you talked about healing, but because you embodied it. You became it. That's what the modern world lacks. Men who turn pain into power instead of stories. You're not supposed to share your trauma with her like it's casual conversation. You're supposed to go into the cave and face it, burn through it, refine yourself with it, then emerge sharper, cleaner, heavier in presence. You don't show her your struggle, you show her your strength. Not because you're hiding, but because you've already handled it. That's what real confidence is. Quiet, unshakable mastery. Every time you're tempted to overshare, ask yourself, have I solved this yet? Have I earned the right to speak on this yet? Or am I still bleeding? Because if you're still bleeding, she's not the one to hold the towel. You are. Grab it, wrap it, stop the leak. Then fix the wound, not by crying over it, but by building over it. Get obsessed with control. Control your habits, control your time, control your mind, stack wins, make money, build strength, learn skills, conquer vices. Fill your calendar with progress until there's no room for pity. Then, and only then, when you look in the mirror, you won't see someone trying. You'll see someone built, and you won't need to speak it. She'll feel it in the way you enter a room, in the way you say nothing but everything bends around your presence. That's the kind of man women crave. That's the kind of man society can't ignore. That's the kind of man you were meant to be, but you won't become him by trauma dumping on women who can't help you. You become him by facing hell every day, with your mouth closed and your fists clenched. You go to war in the gym, in your business, in your silence, and you never break the code. The code is simple. Don't speak from the wound. Speak from the wisdom that came after. Until then, get quiet, get focused, get moving. You were never meant to be emotionally naked to the world. You were meant to be emotionally lethal. You were meant to walk into every room with a storm behind your eyes and calm in your voice. Not because you don't feel, but because you've mastered what you feel. That's the weapon. And no woman can give it to you. No woman can teach it to you. That's a man's work. That's brotherhood. That's mentorship. That's waking up every morning and choosing strength over sympathy, choosing actions over affirmations, choosing movement over moods. And when it's dark, when it hurts, when it's lonely, you don't reach for your phone, you reach for your purpose. You don't text her, you take another step forward. That's how you win. That's how you turn pain into power. And if you ever need to talk to the men who've walked through fire, the ones who get it, who won't pity you, who'll sharpen you, who'll remind you who you are. That's who you share with. That's who you trust. Because they won't use your weakness. They'll forge your strength. And that's all this game is about. Become the man no pain can break. The man no woman can destabilize. The man who doesn't explain himself because his life speaks loud enough. That man, that's you, once you stop telling and start building. You are not a victim. You are not helpless. You are not someone to be pitied. You are a mountain. You rise alone. She was never meant to carry your pain. That was your burden. That was your path. That was your fire. But that fire forged something stronger. Now carry it with discipline, with silence, with grace. If you feel this in your chest, if this made something click, comment "Stay Stoic" below. We read everyone, and we stand with you. Support this channel if you believe in truth. If you believe men who needed this message but didn't know where to find it. Serve clarity, strength, brotherhood, stoicism. Every time you like, comment, subscribe, you don't just help us, you help millions of men who are drowning in confusion.